Marcus Thompson woke up at 5 in the morning, just like he did every day. The sun was not up yet. The house was quiet and cold. He sat on the edge of his bed and looked around the empty room. 3 years had passed since Sarah died, but things were still there. Her brush was on the table. Her books were on the shelf. Her pillow still smelled like her perfume. Marcus was 45 years old. He was tall and strong from working on his ranch every day. His hands were rough and his face was brown from the sun. He had lived on this ranch all his life. His father gave it to him and his father's father gave it to his father. The ranch was big, 2,000 acres of land with green grass and rolling hills. There were 300 cattle, 50 horses, and some chickens. He got up and put on his old jeans and boots. His back hurt a little. Working on a ranch was hard work, but it was the only work he knew. He walked to the kitchen and made coffee. The kitchen was big but felt empty. Sarah used to cook breakfast here. She used to hum songs while she worked. Now Marcus just ate toast and drank coffee alone. Rex, his black and white dog, came running to him. Rex was a border collie. He was smart and helped Marcus with the cattle. Rex was the only friend Marcus had now. The dog wagged his tail and looked at Marcus with big brown eyes. "Morning, boy," Marcus said. He gave Rex some food and water. "Ready to work?" Marcus and Sarah had tried to have children for 15 years. They went to many doctors. They spent all their money on treatments. Sarah took medicine that made her sick. They prayed every night, but no babies came. Sarah cried sometimes. Marcus told her it was okay, but inside, his heart was broken too. When Sarah got cancer, the doctors said she was too sick to keep trying for babies. They said she needed all her strength to fight the cancer, but the cancer was stronger. Sarah died on a cold winter day. Marcus held her hand when she took her last breath. After Sarah died, Marcus felt like half of himself was gone. He still worked on the ranch because the animals needed him, but he did not talk to people much anymore. He did not go to town unless he had to. He did not want to see other families with their children. It hurt too much. The ranch was far from town. The nearest house was 5 miles away. Marcus liked it that way now. He could work and think and remember Sarah without people asking him how he was feeling. People meant well, but their questions made him sad. Every morning, Marcus and Rex walked around the ranch. They checked on the cattle. They fixed broken fences. They filled water tanks. The work never ended, but Marcus liked it that way. When he was working, he did not think about being alone. The cattle knew Marcus. When they saw him coming, they moved toward him. Some of them let him pet their heads. Marcus had names for all of them. There was Big Ben, the largest bull. There was Daisy, who always had twins. There was Trouble, a young cow who liked to escape through holes in the fence. Marcus talked to the animals more than he talked to people. "How are you doing today, Daisy?" he would say. "Are your babies eating enough?" The animals could not talk back, but they listened. Sometimes Marcus thought they understood him better than people did. In the afternoon, Marcus drove his old blue truck to check the far fields. The truck was 20 years old, but it still worked. Sarah used to ride with him in this truck. She would bring sandwiches and lemonade. They would park under a big oak tree and eat lunch together. They would talk about their dreams. They wanted to build a bigger house. They wanted to travel to other countries. They wanted to have children who would love the ranch like they did. Now, Marcus ate lunch alone in the truck. He listened to country music on the radio. The songs were about love and family and home. Sometimes they made him remember good times with Sarah. Sometimes they made him turn off the radio. The ranch made enough money to live on, but not much more. Marcus did not care about being rich. He had everything he needed. He had food and a warm house and good animals. But something was missing. The ranch felt too big for just one person. The house felt too quiet. The dinner table was too empty. At night, Marcus sat on his front porch with Rex. They watched the stars come out. The sky was clear and dark because there were no city lights nearby. Marcus could see thousands of stars. Sarah used to sit with him here. She would point to different groups of stars and tell him their names. She was smart about things like that. Sarah always said the stars were angels watching over us, Marcus told Rex. Do you think she's up there now? Rex looked at him and wagged his tail slowly. Dogs always knew when people were sad. Marcus went to bed around 9 o'clock. He was tired from working all day, but sometimes he could not sleep. The house was too quiet. He missed hearing Sarah breathe next to him. He missed her warm body in the bed. He missed talking to her about the day. Some nights, Marcus wondered what would happen to the ranch when he died. He had no children to give it to. His brother lived in the city and did not want to be a rancher. Maybe the land would be sold to someone who did not love it. Maybe the new owners would sell the cattle and build houses where the green fields used to be. Marcus did not like thinking about these things. But when a man lives alone, he thinks about alone things. He thinks about endings and emptiness and time running out. Every Sunday, Marcus drove to town to buy food and supplies. He did not like going to town, but he had to. The town was small, just one main street with a few stores, a gas station, a bank, and a church. Most people knew each other. They knew Marcus too, but they also knew he wanted to be left alone. Marcus had been living this way for 3 years. Wake up, work, eat alone, sleep alone, repeat. He thought this was how his life would be until he died. He thought nothing would ever change. He was wrong. It was a hot Tuesday morning in July when Marcus drove to town. He needed to buy feed for the cattle and some parts for his broken tractor. The drive took 30 minutes on the dusty road. Rex sat in the passenger seat with his head out the window. His ears flapped in the wind. Marcus parked his truck in front of Miller's hardware store. The store had been there for 50 years. Old Mr. Miller knew everything about ranching. He always had the parts Marcus needed. "Morning, Marcus," Mr. Miller said when Marcus walked in. "What can I help you with today?" "Need a belt for my John Deere tractor," Marcus said. "The old one broke yesterday." Mr. Miller nodded and went to find the part. Marcus looked around the store while he waited. There were tools and rope and buckets. Everything a rancher might need. Sarah used to come here with him sometimes. She liked to look at the garden supplies. "Here you go," Mr. Miller said, coming back with a black rubber belt. "This should fit your tractor just fine." Marcus paid for the belt and some other supplies, then he drove to the feed store on the other side of town. He needed 10 bags of cattle feed. The bags were heavy, but Marcus was strong from years of ranch work. As Marcus loaded the bags into his truck, he heard shouting from across the street. He looked up and saw a man yelling at someone behind a building. The man was fat and angry. His face was red. "You're too slow," the man shouted. "Move faster or you don't eat tonight." Marcus stopped loading his truck. He could not see who the man was yelling at, but the voice sounded mean and cruel. Marcus did not like bullies. His father had taught him to stand up for people who could not stand up for themselves. Marcus walked across the street. Behind the building was Joe's auto repair shop. The building was old and dirty. Car parts were scattered everywhere. Oil stains covered the ground. That's when Marcus saw her. A small girl was trying to carry a car engine. The engine was almost as big as she was. She could barely lift it. Her thin arms shook with effort. Her face was red from trying so hard. The girl looked about 12 years old, but she was very small and thin. Her clothes were dirty and too big for her. Her black hair was messy and had grease in it. Her hands were cut and dirty. "Hurry up," the fat man yelled again. This was Joe, the owner of the auto shop. "That engine needs to be in the shed before lunch." The girl tried to walk faster, but the engine was too heavy. She stumbled and almost dropped it. Joe raised his hand like he was going to hit her. "Hey," Marcus called out. His voice was loud and angry. Joe turned around. He saw Marcus walking toward them. Joe knew who Marcus was. Everyone in town knew Marcus was strong and tough. "What do you want?" Joe asked. He put his hand down. "What's going on here?" Marcus asked. He looked at the girl. She was afraid. Her big brown eyes looked at Marcus, then at Joe, then at the ground. "Nothing. That's your business," Joe said. "This girl works for me. I can tell her what to do." "She's just a kid," Marcus said. That engine is too heavy for her. She's stronger than she looks, Joe said. But he did not sound sure. Marcus looked at the girl again. She was breathing hard. Sweat ran down her face. Her legs shook from trying to hold the heavy engine. Put it down, Marcus told the girl. His voice was gentle now. The girl looked at Joe. Joe's face was angry, but he did not say anything. There were other people starting to watch now. The girl slowly put the engine on the ground. "What's your name?" Marcus asked the girl. She looked scared. She did not answer. "She doesn't speak much English," Joe said quickly. "Her name is Elena. She's here legally. I have papers." Marcus did not believe Joe. Something was wrong here. The girl looked hungry and scared. No child should be carrying car engines. "How old is she?" Marcus asked. "Old enough to work," Joe said. "Like I said, it's none of your business." "Where does she live?" Marcus asked. Joe pointed to a small shed behind the auto shop. The shed had no windows. The roof had holes in it. It was not fit for animals, let alone a child. "She lives there?" Marcus asked. His voice was getting angry again. "She has everything she needs," Joe said. "Food, shelter, work. That's more than she had before." Marcus felt sick. This was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. The girl was too young to work like this. She was too small to live in a shed. She looked like she had not eaten a good meal in months. "Elena," Marcus said softly. The girl looked up at him. "Are you okay?" She did not answer, but her eyes said everything. She was not okay. She was afraid, and hungry, and alone. "She's fine," Joe said loudly. "Now we have work to do. You should go." Marcus did not move. He kept looking at Elena. She reminded him of a hurt animal, scared but trying to be brave. "How long has she been working for you?" Marcus asked. "A few months," Joe said. "Her uncle brought her here, said she needed work." "Where is her uncle now?" Joe shrugged. "Gone. He said he'd be back, but that was months ago." Marcus felt his hands make fists. This man was using a child for free work. He was keeping her in a shed like an animal. He was probably not feeding her enough. "Elena," Marcus said again, "do you want to be here?" The girl looked at Joe. Joe stared at her with angry eyes. She was afraid to answer. "Of course she wants to be here," Joe said. "Where else would she go? I'm taking care of her." But Marcus could see the truth. Joe was not taking care of Elena. He was using her. This was wrong, and Marcus could not walk away. "I think we need to call someone," Marcus said. "Call who?" Joe asked. Now he looked nervous. "Child services, the police, someone who can help her." "You can't do that," Joe said. "She's not documented. They'll just send her away." "Maybe that would be better than this," Marcus said. Elena made a small sound. It was the first sound Marcus had heard her make. She was afraid. She did not want to be sent away, but she also did not want to stay here. Marcus looked around the auto shop. It was dirty and dangerous. Sharp metal pieces were everywhere. The floor was covered with oil and chemicals. This was no place for a child. "Elena," Marcus said one more time. "Do you have family, parents, anyone who cares about you?" The girl's eyes filled with tears. She shook her head slowly. Marcus made a decision. He did not know what he was going to do, but he could not leave this child here. Something in his heart, the same heart that had been empty for 3 years, suddenly felt full of purpose. "Joe," Marcus said, "we need to talk." Marcus did not leave town that day. Instead, he drove straight to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Williams had known Marcus for 20 years. He was a good man who cared about doing what was right. "Marcus," Sheriff Williams said when he walked in. "What brings you to town?" "I need to report something," Marcus said. "There's a child being kept at Joe's auto shop. She's being forced to work. She's living in a shed." Sheriff Williams put down his coffee and listened. Marcus told him everything he had seen. The heavy engine, the threats, the shed with no windows. the scared look in Elena's eyes. That sounds serious, Sheriff Williams said. Let's go take a look. They drove back to Joe's auto shop in the sheriff's car. Joe was not happy to see them. Elena was still there, now trying to clean car parts with her small hands. Joe, Sheriff, Williams said. I need to ask you some questions about this girl. What questions? Joe asked. He was nervous now. How old is she? Who are her parents? Do you have legal papers saying you can keep her here? Joe's face turned red. I told you, her uncle brought her. I'm just giving her work. Where is this uncle? Sheriff Williams asked. I don't know. He left. So you have a child with no parents, no legal guardian, and you're making her work in dangerous conditions? Joe looked around nervously. It's not like that. I'm helping her. Sheriff Williams walked over to Elena. She was still afraid, but she looked at him with hopeful eyes. Elena, he said gently, do you understand English? She nodded a little. Are you hungry? She nodded again, more quickly this time. When did you last eat? Elena held up 2 fingers. 2 hours ago? Sheriff Williams asked. Elena shook her head. She pointed to the sky, then held up the 2 fingers again. 2 days? Marcus asked, shocked. Elena nodded. Sheriff Williams's face became very serious. Joe, you're under arrest. For what? Joe shouted. Child labor, child endangerment, and probably a lot more when we investigate. While Sheriff Williams arrested Joe, Marcus knelt down next to Elena. She was shaking, but not from cold. She was scared about what would happen next. It's okay, Marcus said softly. No one is going to hurt you anymore. Elena looked at him with big, sad eyes. She wanted to believe him, but she had been hurt before. Sheriff Williams called Child Protective Services. A social worker named Mrs. Chen came to the auto shop. She was a kind woman who had helped many children. Hello, Elena, Mrs. Chen said. My name is Linda. I'm here to help you. Mrs. Chen asked Elena many questions. Elena's English was not very good, but she tried to answer. Slowly, a sad story came out. Elena was from Mexico. Her mother died when Elena was 9. Her father brought her to America to find work and a better life. But at the border, they were separated. Elena did not know where her father was now. A man who said he was her uncle took her from the detention center. But he was not really her uncle. He was a stranger who sold her to Joe for money. Joe made her work every day. He gave her only a little food. He told her if she tried to run away, the police would send her back to Mexico where she would starve. You're safe now, Mrs. Chen told Elena. We're going to find you a good place to live. But there was a problem. Elena had no legal papers. The government did not know she existed. It would take time to sort everything out. In the meantime, Elena needed somewhere to stay. We have a group home about 2 hours from here, Mrs. Chen said. Elena can stay there while we work on her case. Marcus had been listening quietly. When he heard about the group home, something inside him stirred. He thought about his empty ranch house. He thought about his quiet dinner table. He thought about how Elena reminded him of a hurt animal that needed care. What about foster care? Marcus asked. Mrs. Chen looked surprised. Do you know someone who might be interested? Marcus took a deep breath. What would someone need to do to become a foster parent? There's a process, Mrs. Chen said. Background checks, home visits, training classes. It usually takes several months. What if it was an emergency situation? Marcus asked. Mrs. Chen looked at Elena, then at Marcus. Emergency foster care is possible, but it's rare. The person would need to pass a quick background check and home inspection. They would need to be licensed foster parents within 90 days. Marcus made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. I want to apply for emergency foster care for Elena. Sheriff Williams stared at him. Marcus, are you sure about this? I have a big house. I have plenty of food. She needs help, and I can help her. Mrs. Chen looked concerned. Mr. Thompson, foster care is a big responsibility. Do you have experience with children? No, Marcus said honestly. But I know how to take care of things that are hurt and scared. I've been doing it with animals my whole life. Children are different from animals, Mrs. Chen said gently. I know, Marcus said. But some things are the same. They need food, shelter, safety, and someone who cares about them. Elena had been listening to this conversation. She did not understand all the words, but she understood that Marcus wanted to help her. She looked at him with curious eyes. Elena, Marcus said, would you like to come to my ranch? I have horses and cows and a dog. You would have your own room and plenty of food. Elena looked at Mrs. Chen, then back at Marcus. Caballos? She asked quietly. Sí, Marcus said. He did not speak Spanish well, but he knew a few words. Muchos caballos. For the first time since Marcus had met her, Elena almost smiled. Mrs. Chen sighed. This is very unusual. But Elena's situation is unusual too. The group home is overcrowded and this might be better for her. She looked at Marcus seriously. If I approve this, it would be temporary. Just until we can complete the full process or find Elena's family. You would need to pass a background check today. I would need to visit your home tomorrow. And you would need to start foster care training immediately. I understand, Marcus said. And if Elena is not happy or safe, I will remove her immediately. I understand that too. Mrs. Chen spent an hour on the phone, checking Marcus's background. Sheriff Williams vouched for him. Mr. Miller from the hardware store vouched for him. Even the veterinarian who had treated Marcus's animals vouched for him. He's a good man, everyone said. If he says he'll take care of that girl, he will. By evening, the paperwork was done. Elena would go home with Marcus that night. Mrs. Chen would visit the ranch the next day to make sure everything was suitable. Marcus drove his truck back to Joe's auto shop to get Elena's things. But she had no things, just the dirty clothes she was wearing. That's okay, Marcus said. We'll get you new clothes. Elena climbed into Marcus's truck. Rex was still in the passenger seat. When Elena saw the dog, her eyes got wide. Pero, she whispered. His name is Rex, Marcus said. He's very friendly. Elena slowly reached out her hand. Rex sniffed it, then licked her fingers. Elena giggled, the first happy sound Marcus had heard from her. As they drove toward the ranch, Marcus wondered what he had just done. He had never raised a child. He did not speak Spanish. He did not know how to cook food that Elena might like. He did not know what 12-year-old girls needed, but when he looked at Elena sitting in his truck, petting Rex with gentle hands, something felt right. The truck did not feel empty anymore. For the first time in 3 years, Marcus felt like he was going home, instead of just returning to an empty house. Elena stared out the window at the wide fields and big sky. After months in a dirty auto shop, everything looked beautiful to her. She was still scared, but she was also hopeful. This strange man with kind eyes had saved her from Joe. Maybe her life could be different now. Neither Marcus nor Elena knew it yet, but they were both about to change each other's lives forever. The drive to the ranch was quiet. Elena sat very still in the truck, her hands folded in her lap. She looked out the window at the big fields and mountains. Everything was so different from the dirty auto shop. The air smelled clean. The sky was huge and blue. Rex had moved to sit between Marcus and Elena. The dog seemed to know that Elena needed a friend. He kept his head close to her, and she petted him softly. When they reached the ranch, Elena's eyes got very wide. She had never seen so much open land. The house was bigger than any place she had ever lived. There were barns and fences and animals everywhere. This is home, Marcus said as he parked the truck. Elena did not move at first. She stared at the big house with its wide porch and white railings. It looked like houses she had seen in American movies. Come on, Marcus said gently. Let me show you around. Elena climbed out of the truck slowly. She stayed close to Marcus as they walked toward the house. Rex ran ahead, then came back to walk beside them. The front porch had 2 rocking chairs. Sarah's chair still had her blanket on it. Marcus had not moved it in 3 years. Elena looked at the blanket but did not ask about it. Inside, the house was clean but felt empty. The furniture was old but comfortable. Pictures of Marcus and a woman with blonde hair sat on tables. Elena looked at the pictures with curious eyes. "That was my wife, Sarah," Marcus said quietly. "She died 3 years ago." Elena nodded. She understood death. Her mother had died too. "Are you hungry?" Marcus asked. Elena nodded quickly. She was always hungry now. Marcus looked in his kitchen. He usually ate simple food: sandwiches, soup from cans, eggs. He was not sure what Elena would like to eat. "Do you like eggs?" he asked. "Si," Elena said. "Yes?" Marcus cooked scrambled eggs and made toast. He opened a can of peaches and poured Elena a big glass of milk. Elena ate very fast, like someone might take the food away from her. "Slow down," Marcus said gently. "There's plenty of food. You can have more if you want." Elena tried to eat slower, but it was hard. At Joe's place, she never knew when her next meal would come. After dinner, Marcus showed Elena the rest of the house. There were 3 bedrooms upstairs: Marcus's room, the room that would have been a baby's room, and a guest room. "This can be your room," Marcus said, opening the door to the guest room. The room had a big bed, with a soft quilt. There was a dresser for clothes and a window that looked out at the mountains. Elena had never had her own room before. "Mine?" she asked. "Yes," Marcus said. "All yours." Elena walked into the room slowly. She touched the bed with one finger. It was so soft. She looked out the window at the sunset, painting the sky orange and pink. "It's beautiful," she whispered in English. Marcus found some of Sarah's old clothes for Elena to wear. Sarah had been small, so the clothes were too big for Elena, but they were clean and soft. Elena held the clothes against her face. They smelled like soap and flowers. "There's a bathroom right here," Marcus said, showing Elena where she could wash. "Take as long as you want. Use plenty of soap and hot water." Elena had not had a real bath in months. At Joe's place, she only had cold water and a small sink. Now she stood in a real bathroom with a big tub and hot water that never stopped coming. She filled the tub and got in. The water was wonderfully hot. She used lots of soap and watched the dirt wash away from her hands and arms. She washed her hair 3 times until it was clean and shiny. When Elena came out of the bathroom, she looked like a different person. Her skin was clean, and her black hair was soft. Sarah's nightgown was too big for her, but it was comfortable. Marcus was sitting in the living room reading a farming magazine. When he saw Elena, he smiled. "Feel better?" he asked. Elena nodded. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Are you tired?" Elena was very tired, but she was also afraid to sleep. What if this was all a dream? What if she woke up back in Joe's shed? "It's okay," Marcus said, seeing her worried face. "You're safe here. No one will hurt you." Elena went to her new room and climbed into the big bed. The sheets were soft and smelled clean. Rex came into the room and lay down on the floor beside her bed. Having the dog there made Elena feel safer, but Elena could not sleep. The house was too quiet. She was used to the noise of cars and shouting from the auto shop. This silence felt strange. Around midnight, Elena heard crying. She got up quietly and looked out her door. The sound was coming from downstairs. Elena walked down the stairs very quietly. She found Marcus sitting in his rocking chair on the front porch. His face was wet with tears. He was holding a picture of the blonde woman. "Sarah," he whispered to the picture. "I don't know what I'm doing. How do I take care of a little girl? You would know what to do." Elena understood. Marcus missed his wife, just like she missed her mother and father. She wanted to say something, to make him feel better, but her English was not good enough. Instead, Elena went back to her room. She lay in bed thinking about this strange day. This morning she had been carrying car engines and sleeping in a dirty shed. Tonight she was in a clean bed in a big house with a kind man and a friendly dog. The next morning, Elena woke up early. She was used to getting up before sunrise. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she saw the window with the mountain. view and remembered. Elena got dressed in Sarah's clothes and went downstairs. Marcus was already awake, making coffee in the kitchen. "Good morning," he said. "Did you sleep okay?" Elena nodded, though she had only slept a few hours. "Are you hungry?" Elena was always hungry, but she did not want to ask for too much. "A little," she said. Marcus made pancakes and bacon. Elena had never eaten pancakes before. They were sweet and fluffy. She ate 3 of them. "Do you want to see the animals?" Marcus asked after breakfast. Elena's face lit up. She loved animals. At Joe's place, there had been a stray cat that she sometimes fed scraps of food to. They walked outside together. Rex ran ahead of them, excited to show Elena around the ranch. The morning air was cool and fresh. Birds were singing in the trees. The first stop was the chicken coop. Elena had never seen so many chickens. They clucked and flapped their wings when they saw Marcus coming with feed. "They lay eggs for us to eat," Marcus explained. "Would you like to help feed them?" Elena nodded eagerly. Marcus showed her how to scatter the feed so all the chickens could eat. Elena giggled when the chickens ran toward her, flapping their wings. Next, they visited the horses in the pasture. Elena had seen horses before, but only from far away. These horses were huge and beautiful. They had long manes and gentle eyes. "This is Thunder," Marcus said, pointing to a big brown horse. "He's very gentle. Would you like to pet him?" Elena was nervous, but she wanted to try. Marcus showed her how to hold her hand flat and let Thunder sniff her fingers. The horse's nose was soft and warm. Elena smiled when Thunder nuzzled her hand. "He likes you," Marcus said. They spent the morning walking around the ranch. Marcus showed Elena the cows, the barn, the vegetable garden that Sarah used to tend. Elena asked questions in her mix of English and Spanish. Marcus did not understand all her words, but he understood her curiosity. Elena had been afraid and hungry for so long that she had forgotten what it felt like to be curious about the world. Now, surrounded by animals and open space and kindness, she began to remember. At lunchtime, Mrs. Chen arrived for her home inspection. She was pleased to see Elena clean and well-fed and smiling. She looked at Elena's room, the kitchen, the safety of the house. "How are you feeling, Elena?" Mrs. Chen asked. "Good," Elena said. "The animals are very nice. Marcus is very nice." Mrs. Chen talked to Marcus privately. "She looks much better already," she said. "But this is just the beginning. Elena has been through trauma. She will need time to heal. She may have nightmares or fears. She may not trust easily." "I understand," Marcus said. "And you will need to learn too. About her culture, her language, her needs as a growing girl." Marcus nodded. He was starting to realize how much he did not know about raising a child. But when he looked at Elena playing with Rex in the yard, laughing as the dog chased a ball, he knew he had made the right choice. Elena needed him, but maybe he needed her too. That night, Elena did have nightmares. She woke up crying, afraid that Joe was coming to take her back to the auto shop. Marcus heard her and came to her room. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe. Joe can't hurt you anymore." Elena was shaking. "I was dreaming," she said. "Bad dreams can't hurt you." Marcus said, "You're here with me and Rex. We won't let anything bad happen to you." Rex jumped onto Elena's bed and curled up beside her. Having the warm dog next to her made Elena feel better. Marcus sat in the chair by her bed until she fell asleep again. As he watched her sleeping, he made a promise to himself and to Sarah's memory. He would learn how to be the father Elena needed. He would give her the childhood she deserved. It would not be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever was. 2 weeks passed on the ranch. Every day was a little easier than the last. Elena was still quiet and careful, but she was beginning to trust Marcus. She helped him feed the animals every morning. She learned the names of all the horses and cows. She even helped collect eggs from the chickens. Marcus was learning too. He bought books about raising children. He called Mrs. Chen when he had questions. He was trying to understand what Elena needed beyond food and shelter. One morning, Marcus found Elena in the barn. She was sitting very still next to a young calf that was sick. The calf was lying down and breathing hard. Marcus had been worried about this calf for 2 days. "What are you doing?" Marcus asked. "She is sad," Elena said, pointing to the calf. "Like me when I first came here." Marcus knelt down beside Elena. The calf did look sad and tired. "Sometimes animals get better when someone sits with them," Elena said. "My mama told me that." Marcus was surprised. This was the first time Elena had talked about her mother without crying. "Your mama was right," Marcus said. "Sometimes being with someone who cares helps more than medicine." Elena nodded. "Will you sit with us?" Marcus sat down in the hay beside Elena and the calf. They sat quietly for a long time. Elena hummed a soft song in Spanish. The calf seemed to calm down when she hummed. "That's a pretty song," Marcus said. "A bow." "Mama sang it to me when I was little," Elena said, "before she got sick." Marcus wanted to ask more about Elena's mother, but he did not want to make her sad. Instead, he listened to her humming and watched her gentle hands stroke the calf's head. That afternoon, the calf stood up and drank some milk. By evening, it was walking around and playing with the other calves. "You helped her get better," Marcus told Elena. Elena smiled. "Animals understand kindness. People do too, but sometimes they forget." Marcus realized that Elena was much wiser than most 12-year-old children. She had seen hard things, but instead of making her mean, they had made her gentle and understanding. The next week, Mrs. Chen brought news that made Marcus both happy and worried. "We've found Elena's father," she said. Elena looked up from the book she was reading. Marcus had been teaching her English words every evening. She was learning very fast. "Papa?" Elena whispered. "Yes," Mrs. Chen said. "His name is Miguel Ramirez. He's in a detention center in Texas. He's been looking for you for over a year." Elena started to cry, but they were happy tears. "Is he okay? Can I see him?" Mrs. Chen's face became serious. "It's complicated, Elena. Your father is waiting to see if he can stay in America. The government might send him back to Mexico." "What does that mean for Elena?" Marcus asked. If her father is allowed to stay, Elena would go live with him. If he is sent back to Mexico, Elena might have to go too. Or she might be allowed to stay with another family member or guardian. Elena looked confused and scared. "I don't understand," she said. Marcus sat down beside her. "Your papa loves you and wants to see you. That's good news. But there are rules about who can stay in America and who has to leave. We have to wait and see what the judges decide." "What if I have to leave?" Elena asked. "What about the animals? What about you and Rex?" Marcus felt his heart break a little. In just 3 weeks, Elena had become part of his life. The thought of losing her was painful, but he knew that being with her father was what Elena needed most. "If you have to go, you'll always be welcome here," Marcus said. "This will always be your home too." Elena hugged Marcus tightly. "I don't want to leave," she whispered. "But I miss Papa so much." That night, Elena could not sleep. She was happy that her father was alive, but she was also afraid. What if her father was angry that she had been living with a stranger? What if the government sent them both back to Mexico? What if she never saw Marcus and the ranch again? Marcus could not sleep either. He had gotten used to having Elena around. The house felt alive again with her laughter and questions. He loved teaching her about the animals and watching her face light up when she learned something new. But Marcus knew that Elena belonged with her father. That was the right thing, even if it made him sad. The next few days were hard. Elena was quiet again, like when she first came to the ranch. She still helped with the animals, but she seemed worried all the time. Marcus decided they needed to talk about it. "Elena," he said one evening after dinner, "are you scared about seeing your papa?" Elena nodded. "What if he doesn't want me anymore? What if he thinks I'm bad because I lived with Joe?" "Your father could never think you're bad," Marcus said. "You were just trying to survive. He will be proud of how brave you've been." "What if he's different now?" Elena asked. "What if prison changed him?" Marcus thought about this. People can change when bad things happen to them. but a father's love doesn't change. He's been looking for you all this time. That shows how much he loves you." Elena seemed a little better after they talked, but Marcus could see that she was still worried. A few days later, Mrs. Chen called with more news. "Elena's father wants to see her," she said. "The detention center will allow a visit, but it's a long trip, 6 hours each way, and it might be emotional for Elena." "I want to see Papa," Elena said immediately. "Are you sure?" Marcus asked. "It might be hard." "I'm sure," Elena said. Her voice was stronger than Marcus had heard it in days. They planned the trip for the following weekend. Marcus would drive Elena to Texas to see her father. Mrs. Chen would meet them there. Elena was excited and nervous all week. She picked flowers from Sarah's garden to take to her father. She practiced what she would say to him in Spanish. She asked Marcus many questions about what detention centers were like. "Will Papa be in jail clothes?" she asked. "I don't know," Marcus said honestly, "but he'll still be your Papa no matter what he's wearing." The night before the trip, Elena asked Marcus a question that surprised him. "Will you come with me to see Papa?" "Do you want me to?" Marcus asked. "Yes," Elena said. "Papa should meet you. He should know that you saved me." Marcus felt honored that Elena wanted him to meet her father, but he was also nervous. What would Miguel think of the stranger who had been caring for his daughter? That night, Marcus lay awake thinking about the visit. In a few hours, he would meet the man who might take Elena away from the ranch. Part of him hoped that Miguel would be allowed to stay in America and that Elena could live with both of them somehow. But Marcus knew that was probably not possible. Elena was awake too, in her room down the hall. She was thinking about her father and wondering if he would recognize her. She had grown taller in the months since they were separated. Her English was much better now. Would he be proud of how much she had learned? She was also thinking about Marcus. He had saved her from Joe and given her a safe home. He had taught her about animals and kindness. He had become like a father to her when her real father was gone. Elena loved her papa, but she loved Marcus too. She did not want to choose between them. She wished families could be bigger and include everyone who cared about each other. Next morning, they got up early and started the long drive to Texas. Elena sat quietly in the truck, holding the flowers she had picked. Rex was staying home with the neighbor who sometimes helped Marcus with the ranch. As they drove through the desert, Elena watched the landscape change. She remembered making this trip with her father over a year ago. They had been so hopeful then, dreaming of a new life in America. "Marcus," Elena said after they had been driving for hours. "Yes? Thank you for taking care of me." "Thank you for letting me," Marcus said. "No matter what happens today, you'll always be my American papa." Marcus felt tears in his eyes. "And you'll always be my daughter," he said. They drove the rest of the way in comfortable silence, both thinking about the meeting that would change everything. The detention center was a large gray building surrounded by tall fences and wire. Elena held Marcus's hand tightly as they walked toward the entrance. She had never seen a place like this before. Mrs. Chen met them at the front desk. She had driven from her office to be there for Elena's visit. "How are you feeling?" Mrs. Chen asked Elena. "Scared," Elena said honestly, "but happy too." They had to go through security checks. Guards looked through Elena's flowers and Marcus's wallet. Everything felt cold and unfriendly. Elena moved closer to Marcus. "It's okay," Marcus whispered. "Your papa is just on the other side of these doors." They were led to a visiting room with plastic chairs and tables. Other families were there too, talking quietly and sometimes crying. Elena looked around nervously. Then a door opened and men in orange uniforms walked in. Elena searched their faces until she saw him. "Papa!" she cried. Miguel Ramirez looked older and thinner than Elena remembered. His hair was longer and his face was tired. But when he saw Elena, his whole face lit up with joy. "Mija," he called back. "My little girl." Elena ran to him and threw her arms around his waist. Miguel held her tightly and cried. He spoke to her rapidly in Spanish, telling her how much he had missed her and how worried he had been. Marcus watched from across the room, feeling happy and sad at the same time. Happy because Elena was reunited with her father, but sad because he knew this might be the beginning of goodbye. After a few minutes, Elena pulled away from her father and wiped her eyes. "Papa, this is Marcus," she said in English. "He saved me." Miguel looked at Marcus with curious eyes. Marcus walked over slowly, not sure what to expect. "Señor Miguel," Marcus said. "I'm sorry I don't speak Spanish very well." Miguel studied Marcus's face, then he held out his hand. "Thank you," Miguel said in careful English. "Thank you for helping my daughter." They shook hands. Marcus could see the pain and gratitude in Miguel's eyes. "Elena is a wonderful girl," Marcus said. "She's been no trouble at all." "Sit, please," Miguel said, pointing to the chairs. They all sat down together. Elena stayed close to her father, but she kept looking at Marcus too. "Tell me everything," Miguel said to Elena in Spanish. Elena told her father about Joe's auto shop, about the heavy work in the shed where she slept. Miguel's face became angry when he heard about how she had been treated. Then Elena told him about Marcus finding her, about the ranch and the animals, about her own room and Rex the dog. Miguel listened carefully to every word. "And Marcus teaches me English every night," Elena said, switching back to English so Marcus could understand. "I can read now. Look." Elena pulled a small book from her pocket. It was a children's book, about horses that Marcus had bought for her. She read a few sentences out loud. Her English was much better than when Marcus first met her. Miguel smiled with pride. "You are so smart, mija." Then Miguel turned to Marcus. "You teach her to read?" "She learns very fast," Marcus said. "She's very smart." "I want to hear about you too, Papa," Elena said. "What happened after we were separated?" Miguel's face became sad. He told Elena about being taken to different detention centers. He told her about lawyers and court hearings and waiting. He had been trying to find Elena for over a year, but no one would tell him where she was. "I thought I would never see you again," Miguel said. "But we're together now," Elena said. Miguel looked at Mrs. Chen. "What happens next?" he asked. Mrs. Chen explained that Miguel's case was still being decided. He might be allowed to stay in America, or he might be sent back to Mexico. If he was sent back, Elena could go with him, or she could stay in America with a legal guardian. "I want to stay with Papa," Elena said quickly. But then she looked at Marcus with worried eyes. She didn't want to leave him either. "There is something else," Mrs. Chen said. "Elena needs to go to school. If Miguel is allowed to stay, he will need a job and a place to live. It might be difficult to provide everything Elena needs right away." Miguel looked down at his hands. "I have no money. No job. I don't know where we would live." Elena saw her father's sadness. "It's okay, Papa. Marcus has a big house. Maybe you could come live with us." Marcus felt his heart jump. He had been thinking the same thing, but he wasn't sure if it was possible. "Would that be allowed?" Marcus asked Mrs. Chen. "It's complicated," Mrs. Chen said, "but it's not impossible. If Miguel is granted asylum or legal status, he could potentially live anywhere he chooses. And if Marcus completed the foster care process, Elena could continue to live with him." "I want them both," Elena said simply. "I want my papa and I want Marcus too." Miguel looked at Marcus for a long time. Finally he spoke. "You would do this? You would let us both live in your house?" "I have plenty of room," Marcus said, "and Elena belongs with her father." "But why?" Miguel asked. "We are strangers to you." Marcus thought about how to explain. "I was alone for a long time after my wife died. Elena brought life back to my house. She helped me remember what it feels like to have a family." Miguel was quiet for several minutes. He looked at Elena, who was watching both men hopefully. "If I am allowed to stay," Miguel said slowly, "and if you are willing, Maybe we could try this. I could work on your ranch. I know animals and farming. I could use the help, Marcus said. Elena clapped her hands together. Really? We could all live together? Maybe, Mrs. Chen said. But there are many things that have to happen first. Miguel's case has to be decided. Marcus has to complete his foster care training, and everyone has to agree that this arrangement is best for Elena. They spent the rest of the visit talking about possibilities. Miguel told Marcus about his experience with cattle and horses in Mexico. Marcus told Miguel about the ranch and what kind of work was involved. Elena translated when they had trouble understanding each other. She was excited about the idea of having both her father and Marcus in her life. When visiting time was over, it was hard to say goodbye again. Elena hugged her father tightly. I love you, Papa, she said. I love you too, mija. Be good for Marcus. I will. And Papa, learn more English. Marcus is teaching me, and I can teach you too. Miguel smiled. I will try. Miguel shook hands with Marcus again. Take care of her, he said. I will, Marcus promised. As they walked back to the truck, Elena was quiet. She was happy to see her father, but sad to leave him again. Are you okay? Marcus asked. I think so, Elena said. Do you really think Papa could come live with us? I hope so, Marcus said. But even if he can't, we'll figure something out. I'm not going to lose you, Elena. On the drive home, Elena fell asleep in the truck. Marcus drove through the desert thinking about everything that had changed in his life. A month ago, he was a lonely widower with no family. Now he was hoping to become a father to Elena and maybe even help her real father start a new life. When they got back to the ranch, Rex ran out to greet them. Elena hugged the dog happily. I missed you too, she told Rex. That night at dinner, Elena told Marcus more about her conversation with her father. Papa said you have kind eyes, she said. He said he can tell you're a good man. Your father seems like a good man too, Marcus said. He is. He worked very hard in Mexico to take care of me and Mama. When Mama got sick, he sold everything we had to buy her medicine. That's why we came to America, to find work and money for Mama's medicine. Marcus felt sad thinking about all the struggles Elena's family had faced. Your father loves you very much, Marcus said. I know. And I love him. But I love you too. Marcus, is that okay? That's more than okay, Marcus said. Love isn't something you run out of. The more people you love, the bigger your heart gets. Elena smiled. I like having a big heart. 2 weeks later, Mrs. Chen called with news. Miguel's lawyer had requested a new hearing. There was a chance he might be granted asylum, especially since he had been separated from his child and Elena was now in a stable foster situation. It could take several months, Mrs. Chen said. But there's real hope. Elena was excited about the news. She wrote her father a letter in both Spanish and English, telling him about the calves that had been born and the new foal in the pasture. Marcus was hopeful too, but he was also nervous. If Miguel came to live on the ranch, everything would change again. Marcus had gotten used to being Elena's only parent figure. Would there be room for both of them in Elena's life? That night, Marcus sat on the front porch thinking about the future. Elena came out and sat in Sarah's old rocking chair. Are you worried about Papa coming here? She asked. Marcus was surprised by her question. Why do you ask? You look worried sometimes when we talk about it. Marcus sighed. I'm not worried exactly. I don't know how everything will work. Papa will like you, Elena said, and you'll like him. He's kind like you. But what if he doesn't need my help? What if he wants to take care of you by himself? Elena got up and sat on the arm of Marcus's chair. Marcus, you saved me. Papa will always be grateful for that. And I need you both. You're both my papas now. Marcus felt better hearing Elena say that. Maybe there was room for both of them in her life. Maybe families could be bigger and include everyone who loved each other. Besides, Elena said with a grin, Papa will need you to teach him about Montana. Cows. Mexican cows are different, Marcus laughed. Are they really? Of course, Elena said seriously. Montana cows are tougher. They have to survive the cold winters. Marcus realized that Elena was probably right. 6 months had passed since Elena first came to the ranch. It was now winter, and snow covered the mountains around Marcus's land. Elena loved the snow. She had never seen it before coming to Montana. She was a different girl now. Her English was almost perfect. She was doing well in the local school, even though she had started behind the other children. Her teachers said she was one of the smartest students they had ever seen. Elena had grown taller and stronger. She helped Marcus with all the ranch work now. She could feed the animals by herself, fix simple fences, and even help deliver calves when they were born. The scared, thin girl who had carried car engines was now a confident young person who could handle a horse or calm a frightened cow. Most importantly, Elena smiled and laughed every day. The ranch felt alive with her presence. She had made friends at school and invited them over to see the animals. She taught Marcus some Spanish words, and he taught her about running a business and managing money. In December, Mrs. Chen called with the best news possible. "Miguel has been granted asylum," she said. "He can stay in America legally. He'll be released from detention next week." Elena screamed with joy when she heard the news. She danced around the kitchen with Rex, both of them spinning in circles. "Papa is coming home," she shouted. "Papa is coming home." Marcus felt happy for Elena, but he was also nervous. He had been Elena's only parent for 6 months. Now her real father was coming to live with them. How would that change things? Elena must have seen his worried expression because she stopped dancing and came over to him. "You're not losing me, Marcus," she said seriously. "You're gaining a family." Marcus hugged her tightly. "I hope your father feels the same way." "He will," Elena said confidently. "I wrote him about everything. He knows how much you mean to me." They spent the week preparing for Miguel's arrival. Elena helped Marcus clean out the small bedroom next to hers. They bought new clothes for Miguel and stocked up on groceries. Elena made a welcome home papa sign in both English and Spanish. Marcus was surprised by how nervous he felt. He had run his own ranch for 20 years and made decisions about cattle and land and money. But the thought of sharing Elena with her father made him feel uncertain. The day Miguel was released, Marcus and Elena drove back to Texas to pick him up. Elena could barely sit still during the long drive. She kept asking Marcus if he thought her father would look different, if he would like the ranch, if he would be proud of how much English she had learned. When Miguel walked out of the detention center, he looked like a different man than the one they had visited months before. He was still thin, but he stood straighter. His clothes were his own instead of the orange uniform. Most importantly, he looked hopeful instead of defeated. Elena ran to him and threw herself into his arms. Father and daughter held each other for a long time, both crying happy tears. "Mija," Miguel whispered. "My brave girl." When they finally separated, Miguel walked over to Marcus and held out his hand. "Marcus," he said in English that was much better than before. "Thank you for everything." "Welcome home, Miguel," Marcus said. The drive back to Montana was different from any trip Marcus had ever taken. Elena sat between the two men, translating when needed and chattering excitedly about everything she wanted to show her father. "Wait until you see Thunder," she told Miguel in Spanish. "He's the biggest horse on the ranch, and there's a new calf, named Star because she has a white mark on her forehead. And Rex learned a new trick where he can bring you specific tools if you say their names." Miguel listened with amazement. His daughter had learned so much and grown so confident. He looked at Marcus with gratitude. "She is different," Miguel said to Marcus. "Stronger." "She was always strong," Marcus replied. "She just needed a safe place to show it." When they reached the ranch, Miguel stood outside the truck for a long time looking at the vast land and the mountains beyond. He had spent almost 2 years in small rooms and enclosed spaces. The open sky and endless fields felt like freedom. "It's beautiful," he said. Elena gave her father the full tour. She showed him every animal and introduced him by name. She explained how the ranch worked and what jobs needed to be done each day. Miguel was impressed by how much his daughter knew. "You are like a real rancher now," he told her proudly. That evening, they sat down for their first dinner together, as a family. Elena had helped Marcus cook Miguel's favorite meal, rice and beans with chicken and fresh tortillas. Miguel was amazed by the big kitchen and dining room. "You have been very generous," Miguel told Marcus. "I don't know how to repay you." "You don't need to repay anything," Marcus said. "Elena has given me more than I ever gave her." "But I want to help," Miguel said. "I want to work and contribute. I know about cattle and horses. I can fix things and build things." "I could use the help," Marcus admitted. "The ranch is big for one person to manage alone." Elena clapped her hands. "This is perfect. Papa can help with the work, and I can help too, and we can all be together." Over the next few weeks, they worked out how their new life would function. Miguel was amazed by the modern equipment on the ranch, but he quickly learned how to use everything. His experience with animals in Mexico translated well to Montana cattle and horses. Marcus was impressed by Miguel's work ethic and knowledge. Miguel could calm a spooked horse with just his voice, and he seemed to know instinctively when an animal was getting sick. "Where did you learn so much about animals?" Marcus asked one day. "My grandfather had a small ranch in Mexico," Miguel explained. "I worked there as a boy. Animals are the same everywhere. They need food, water, shelter, and kindness." The three of them developed routines that worked for everyone. Elena went to school during the day while Marcus and Miguel worked on the ranch. In the evenings, they would have dinner together, and Elena would help her father practice English, while Marcus helped with her math homework. On weekends, they all worked together. Elena loved having both her fathers teach her different skills. Marcus showed her how to read financial reports and plan for different seasons. Miguel taught her traditional Mexican songs and how to braid rope in patterns his grandfather had shown him. But it wasn't always easy. Sometimes Miguel felt like an outsider watching Marcus and Elena's established relationship. Sometimes Marcus worried that Miguel would want to take Elena away from the ranch. And sometimes Elena felt caught between two men who both loved her but didn't always understand each other. One evening in January, there was tension at dinner. Miguel had suggested changes to how they managed the cattle, and Marcus had disagreed. They had been polite about it, but Elena could feel the awkwardness. After dinner, Elena asked both men to sit down in the living room. "We need to talk," she said seriously. Marcus and Miguel looked at each other, then at Elena. "You're both being silly," Elena announced. "Marcus, you're worried that Papa wants to change everything and take over your ranch. Papa, you're worried that Marcus doesn't respect your ideas and that I love him more than you." Both men started to protest, but Elena held up her hand. "I'm not finished. Marcus, this ranch is big enough for both of you to have good ideas. Papa has different experience than you do. That's valuable. Papa, Marcus saved my life and gave us both a home. He's not trying to keep you out. He's trying to include you in." Elena stood up and looked at both men firmly. "You both love me and I love both of you, but I won't choose between you. We're a family now and families work together, so figure it out." Then she marched upstairs to her room, leaving Marcus and Miguel sitting in surprised silence. After a few minutes, Miguel started to laugh. "She sounds like my mother when she was angry," he said. Marcus smiled. "She's right, you know. I have been worried about you taking over." "And I have been worried about not being needed," Miguel admitted. They talked for hours that night. Marcus learned about Miguel's dreams for Elena's future and his gratitude for the opportunity to start over. Miguel learned about Marcus's love for the ranch and his desire to pass on something meaningful. By the end of the conversation, they had made a plan. They would become partners in running the ranch. Miguel would handle the day-to-day animal care, while Marcus managed the business side. They would make major decisions together, and they would both focus on giving Elena the best life possible. When Elena came down for breakfast the next morning, she found Marcus and Miguel drinking coffee together and looking at ranch financial reports. "Good," she said with satisfaction. "You figured it out?" "We had a smart teacher," Marcus said. "The smartest," Miguel agreed. From that day forward, things were different. Marcus and Miguel worked as a team instead of two separate people sharing a house. They combined their knowledge and skills to make the ranch more successful than it had ever been. Elena thrived with both her fathers in her life. She felt secure and loved and confident about her future. She was doing so well in school that her teachers talked about advanced classes and college scholarships. But most importantly, all three of them felt like they belonged together. The lonely rancher, the detained father, and the rescued girl had become a real family. One evening in late spring, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Elena made an announcement. "I want to be a veterinarian when I grow up," she said. "I want to help animals like you both taught me to do." 2 years had passed since Miguel came to live on the ranch. Elena was now 14 years old, tall and confident with bright eyes full of dreams. The scared 12-year-old who had once carried car engines was now a young woman who could run a ranch, speak perfect English, and had plans for her future. It was a warm spring morning when Mrs. Chen called with news that would change everything once again. "I have some important information about Elena's legal status," she said to Marcus over the phone. Elena and Miguel were in the barn helping a mare deliver her foal when Marcus came to find them. "Mrs. Chen wants to talk to all of us," Marcus said. "She's coming over this afternoon." Elena looked worried. "Is something wrong?" "I don't think so," Marcus said. "But she said it was important." That afternoon, Mrs. Chen arrived at the ranch with a lawyer named Mr. Rodriguez. Elena sat between Marcus and Miguel on the living room couch, holding both their hands. "Elena," Mrs. Chen began, "you've been in foster care for over 2 years now. You're doing wonderfully and your situation is stable. The court wants to make your legal status permanent." "What does that mean?" Elena asked. Mr. Rodriguez spoke up. "It means you need to choose who will be your legal guardian permanently. Your father has the right to full custody of you now that he has legal status in America. Or if everyone agrees, Marcus could formally adopt you while your father retains his parental rights." Elena looked confused. "I don't understand. Why do I have to choose?" "The law requires clear legal guardianship," Mrs. Chen explained. "Right now you're in a temporary situation. To give you the best protection and opportunities, we need to make it official." Miguel squeezed Elena's hand. "Mija, you should be with your real father. I can take care of you now." But Elena shook her head. "You're both my real fathers. Marcus saved me and gave me a home. You're my papa who loves me. I need both of you." Marcus felt his heart breaking. He had known this day might come, but he wasn't ready for it. "Elena," he said quietly, "you belong with your father. That's what's right." "No," Elena said firmly. "That's not what's right. What's right is staying together as a family." Mr. Rodriguez leaned forward. "There is another option. It's unusual, but it's possible. If Miguel agrees to it, Marcus could adopt Elena, while Miguel remains her father. 2. Elena would legally have 2 fathers. Everyone was quiet for a moment. "Is that really possible?" Miguel asked. "Yes," Mr. Rodriguez said. "It would require both men to agree to share all parental responsibilities. Elena would have 2 legal fathers with equal rights." Elena's face lit up with hope. "Could we really do that?" Marcus looked at Miguel. "What do you think?" Miguel was quiet for a long time. Finally he spoke. "Marcus, you saved my daughter when I could not. You gave her a home and education and love when I was locked away. You became her father when she needed one. I could never take that away from her or from you." Marcus felt tears in his eyes. "And you're her real father. She needs you in ways I can't provide. I would be honored to share the responsibility of raising her." Elena jumped up and hugged both men. "Really? We can all stay together officially?" "If that's what everyone wants," Mrs. Chen said with a smile. The adoption process took several months. There were more papers to sign, more interviews, and more home visits. But this time it felt different. Instead of uncertainty, there was excitement. They were choosing to become a family legally and permanently. During this time, other changes were happening on the ranch too. Word had spread about Marcus and Miguel's partnership. and other ranchers were asking for their advice about cattle management and sustainable farming. They started consulting for other ranches in the area. Elena's academic success had also attracted attention. She was offered scholarships to prestigious high schools and summer programs for gifted students. But Elena chose to stay at the local school so she could remain on the ranch with her fathers. "The opportunities will still be there when I'm ready," she told Marcus and Miguel. "Right now, I want to be here with you." The adoption ceremony took place on a beautiful October morning. Elena wore a new dress that Miguel had bought for her, and a necklace that had belonged to Sarah, which Marcus gave her as an adoption gift. In the courthouse, with Mrs. Chen and their friends from town watching, Elena officially became Elena Ramirez Thompson. She kept both names to honor both her fathers. "Elena," the judge said, "you now have two legal fathers who are equally responsible for your care and well-being. How does that make you feel?" "Like the luckiest girl in the world," Elena answered. After the ceremony, they had a celebration at the ranch. Neighbors and friends came to congratulate them. There was Mexican food that Miguel cooked and American barbecue that Marcus grilled. Elena's school friends mixed with the ranch hands and other local families. Sheriff Williams was there, remembering the day 2 years ago when Marcus first called about a child being mistreated. "Never seen anything like this," he told people. "That little girl saved both those men as much as they saved her." Mrs. Chen watched Elena laughing with her friends and both her fathers. "Sometimes the best families are the ones we choose," she said to Marcus. "You three chose each other and look what you built." That evening, after all the guests had gone home, Elena, Marcus, and Miguel sat on the front porch together. Rex was getting old now, but he still lay at Elena's feet, content to be near his family. "I have something to tell you both," Elena said. She had been planning this moment for weeks. Marcus and Miguel looked at her with curious expressions. "I've been thinking about my future, about college and careers and all that. I still want to be a veterinarian, but I've decided something else too." "What's that, mija?" Miguel asked. "I want to turn this ranch into something special, not just a cattle ranch, but a place that helps other children like me." Marcus leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "I want to create a program for kids who need homes. Kids who have been through hard things. We could teach them about animals and farming and give them a safe place to heal, just like you did for me." Miguel's eyes filled with tears. "That's a beautiful dream." "It is," Marcus agreed. "But it would be a big undertaking." "I know," Elena said. "That's why I need both of you to help me. Marcus, you know how to run a business and manage land. Papa, you understand what it's like to lose everything and start over. Together we could really help people." Marcus thought about Sarah and how she had always wanted to help children. This felt like a way to honor her memory while building something meaningful for the future. "How would it work?" he asked. Elena had clearly thought this through. "We could partner with Mrs. Chen's agency. Some kids could live here temporarily while they wait for permanent homes. Others could just come during the day to learn about animals and farming. We could teach them life skills and give them hope." "Like a therapeutic ranch," Miguel said thoughtfully. "Exactly. Animals help people heal. Working with your hands helps people feel useful, and having adults who care about you helps people believe in themselves again." Marcus looked out at his land, the same land that had felt so empty and purposeless just a few years ago. Now it could become a place where other lost children found their way home. "I think it's a wonderful idea," he said. "When would you want to start?" "After I finish high school and veterinary school," Elena said. "That gives us almost 10 years to plan and prepare. We could start small and grow over time. We'll need to learn about running that kind of program," Miguel said. "There will be licenses and regulations and training." "I know," Elena said. "But we have time, and Mrs. Chen said she would help us figure out all the legal stuff." Marcus smiled. "You've really thought this through." "I've had a lot of time to think. Every night when I go to bed in my safe, warm room, I remember sleeping in that shed behind Joe's auto shop. I remember being scared and hungry and alone. If our ranch could prevent even one child from feeling that way, it would be worth everything. Miguel reached over and took his daughter's hand. Your mother would be so proud of you. Both your mothers would be proud, Marcus added, thinking of Sarah. As they sat in the gathering darkness, each of them thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment. Marcus remembered the lonely man he had been, convinced his life had no purpose. Miguel remembered the desperate father, separated from his child and locked away from hope. Elena remembered the frightened girl who thought she would never be safe again. Marcus, Elena said quietly, do you ever regret that day when you saw me at Joe's shop? Never, Marcus said immediately. That was the day my real life began. Papa, Elena turned to Miguel, do you ever wish things had been different? That we had never come to America? Miguel considered the question seriously. I wish your mother had lived. I wish we had never been separated. But if those things hadn't happened, I wouldn't be sitting here with both of you. Sometimes the worst things lead to the best things. What about you, Elena? Marcus asked. Do you ever wish you had been placed with a different family? Elena laughed. Are you kidding? I got to live on a ranch with horses and cows. I got to keep my real father and gain another father. I got to go from being a scared kid with no future to someone who's planning to help other kids. This is better than anything I could have dreamed. They sat in comfortable silence as the stars appeared. Overhead,